welcome to the show. So anyway, I was doing some thinking this weekend.
Sam, you have to help us. Sam, please.
Guys, I'm kind of like doing a video right now.
There are literally zombies.
Zombies?
Zombies.
Zombies aren't that big of a problem. I mean, I killed one time. Memories.
Well, how do we deal with them?
Well, there's a lot you need to think about when you're dealing with these things. There's a lot of different classifications, lots of ways to deal with them, but lucky for you, I have everything you'd ever need to know right here. It's time to check the Bestiary on zombies. So zombies, where do they come from? Cultures all over the world have stories about the dead rising from the grave as horrific monsters. But the word zombie itself actually comes from the Haitian voodoo tradition. Now in voodoo, zombies aren't really what we think of when we think of the shambling, mindless undead ghouls. Instead, they're sort of like puppets. They're magically reanimated corpses that some guy has brought back to be his personal servant. Kind of like some meat puppet or a marionette that you're working to deal with all your problems. But all that changed when Romero happened. In 1968, George A. Romero released Night of the Living Dead. The whole film was about a small group of survivors trying to escape a shambling horde of corpses out for their blood. That's it. That's the birthplace of the modern zombie right there. It established all the zombie rules. Let's take a look at those rules, shall we? Yes. Living dead zombies are as follows. Something vague and mysterious is causing all these corpses to reanimate and come after humans. Be it some kind of disease, radiation from a satellite that fell back to Earth, some magic curse, who cares, it's something. Bottom line is, corpses are coming back from the dead, and they've only got one thing on their mind. Food. Made out of people. Nothing like a nice person steak after a dirt nap really helps me wake up, though some seem to prefer brains.
Then you're safe!
Anyway, when a zombie finally gets his hand on some food and bites into it, that wound will fester on the victim will die of the disease, and then come back as a zombie themselves, causing the horde to grow more and more. Alright, so does that make sense? I mean, come over here, everybody. You following so far? Is it all making sense? Is this, like, good? Is this helpful to you guys?
Well, yeah, but it doesn't help if we don't know how to beat them.
Oh, you want to know how to beat them? Alright, no problem. Now that we know about basically where they come from and how they spread, let's talk about living dead physiology. When you're dealing with living dead zombies, you will have one huge advantage on your side. These guys are slow. I mean, like a snail could outrace them. And it makes a lot of sense. We're talking about decomposing corpses. And when a body dies, it goes through a process called rigor mortis. All the muscles stiffen up, the joints seize up. These guys aren't exactly athletic and agile. Now, on older zombies who have been dead longer, the rigor mortis would have worn off. And so their muscles are kind of atrophied. They don't really hold themselves up that well anymore, which is kind of why they're always like leaning over in slump posture. As if the zombies are, in their own freakish way, trying to compensate their own lack of proper posture, they are durable as a brick wall. These things can survive bullet wounds, they can survive mutilation, they can survive being torn clean in half. If you want to take out a living dead zombie, take out its brain. But why? I mean, they can survive without their other vital organs. What makes the brain so special? Well, what if I told you that if you looked into this one weakness that the living dead zombies have, it would explain every single aspect of the way that they act? Because that's what I'm doing. Right now. I'm about to explain it. Here we go. Yes. So let's take a look at the human brain. It's made up of several distinct regions, each in charge of a very specific task. Near the base of the brain, we have the cerebellum, which controls balance, the occipital lobe, which controls sight, and the parietal lobe for hearing. Now, the outer regions of the brain control things like our sense of touch and fine motion control. Then, furthest from the base is the frontal lobe, the area of the brain that controls all our higher functions like planning and problem solving. In fact, the frontal lobe is responsible for our very personality. You could say it's this area of the brain that makes us human. So, now that we've had a crash course in neuroscience, let's take a look at your common garden variety zombie. Look at the camera, big guy. So, here you can see, he's standing up on his own. He's got a little bit of balance, implying his cerebellum is still functioning. Now, come on, come back, I need you in the shot. Now, you saw there, he's not very coordinated, implying that his upper cortex, all the thing that controls his fine motor skills, probably isn't functioning that well. However, no, you can tell that he can see, and he's trying to bite me. It's pretty obvious. Also, his parietal lobe is still working because he can hear me, as evidenced by this. When I snap my fingers, he looks towards the noise. Now, get over there, boy. So, we can tell that the base of the brain is still most likely active. all the functions are still working that it controls. And we know the outer cortex on top isn't working, which means that the frontal lobe definitely isn't working. No! So, since we know that, we can infer that this zombie won't be very good at problem solving. For example, he just got hit and he came right back. He can't really figure out a way past me either, and these ropes around his arms, they're holding him just fine. Now, since we know what parts of the brain are working, we know what to aim for. So, first off, damage to the outer cortex won't do a lot of damage. For example, see? That definitely at least bruised his outer cortex, and yet he's still coming. Now, if you want to really put a zombie like this down for good, you need to get some damage to the base of the brain back here. That ought to keep him down for the rest of his undead life. So, yeah, as long as you keep your distance, don't get bit, and know to destroy the brain first, you should have no problems dealing with any kind of Walking Dead. Unless they're an infected. Double tap to be sure. Yeah, it turns out there's a whole other classification of zombie. While living dead are the most popular and most well-known variety of the creatures, when you want something new and exciting, you look for the infected. Infected follow their own rules, they don't need your approval. Infected class zombies are far more unpredictable than their living dead cousins. Because their bodies have been taken over by some strange unknown infection, there's no telling how their bodies could change and morph to become more weaponized and take down more living people. One crucial difference between the living dead and the infected is that unlike living dead, the infected are, well, still alive. Most of the time the bodies are still living, they just happen to be overrun by some unknown contagion. If that's the case, they can be brought down any way that a normal squishy human could. If they get cut in half, they're gonna bleed out. If you shoot them in the heart, they will die from immediate heart trauma. One of the big dangers with this kind is that, well, they can still do things like run. Hell, depending on the kind of infection, these zombies could have a multitude of different abilities. Some might mutate into hideous abominations a la Resident Evil or Left 4 Dead. Others might not mutate, but instead develop more effective ways of spreading the infection. The zombies from 28 Days Later, for example, who vomit blood. Oh yeah, did I mention that bodily fluids can transfer infection? Yes, they can. That's why bites happen. Transfer of the disease might be the scariest thing about the infected. They could be the biggest mutated tank, the bloodiest necromorph, the most violent rage zombie. But all that is nothing next to the thought of becoming one when none of them are even around. With living dead, at least you know how to avoid turning, just don't get bit. But with infected, you gotta watch everything you eat, everything you drink, even the air you're breathing. Because if you come in contact with the contagion, you're toast. Now, since classifying every variety of infected out there would be impossible and take hours, we're just gonna stick to some general guidelines. Rule number 1, limb shots. Until you know exactly what it takes to put down your variety of infected, aiming for the limbs to disable them is one of the safest ways to engage. Spending 1 bullet on a shot to the leg to slow the zombie down is better than spending 5 on body shots that might not be effective. Rule number 2, wash your hands. If the world was just a little bit more Purell, we might not have had an outbreak in the first place. Keeping yourself and your gear clean will keep you from becoming a zombie because you accidentally got a boo-boo. Rule number 3, expect the unexpected. If we know one thing about diseases, it is that they mutate. New varieties of zombie might be around every corner, so never assume you've seen everything this infection can throw at you.
Okay, cool, but why are zombies everywhere?
Well, because as a culture, we're fascinated with zombies. They're one monster that embody a ton of our real-world fears.
That's not what we meant. We meant the ones out there.
Take a look at zombie movies and video games. They all revolve around outsiders, people like Daryl Dixon who live outside of common society. When everyone else succumbs to the zombie plague, these are the people who survive. Zombies are mindless hordes who roam around aimlessly, looking for things to shove in their mouths even though they really don't need it. The living dead represent blind consumerism. They represent the fear of crowds of people who mindlessly consume whatever's put in front of them. Why do you think so many zombie movies and games take place in shopping malls?
Why? We want to shop. We want to get into the Eaton Center.
It's like all those crowds of people who line up for the latest iPhone. They've joined the horde! Well, that's all the things that the living dead represent. The infected represent the fear of pestilence and disease. Humans are terrified of disease. I mean, hey, remember a few years ago when the swine flu had everyone wetting their pants? More recently, an outbreak of measles can make people rethink their stance on vaccinations. And then there was the Black Plague, which still causes people to freak out. Zombies are the ultimate representation of losing your humanity. They look like us, but they couldn't be farther from us. And all it takes to lose your humanity and join the enemy's ranks is one bite. The fear of death, the fear of mindless followers, the fear of disease, all of these are wrapped up in one shambling, decomposing creature. And they aren't going anywhere anytime soon. People are still finding new ways to breathe life into the undead. You can look at examples like The Last of Us and their cordyceps zombies, and also the ridiculousness of movies like Zombievers. People will keep finding new and interesting, creative ways to make this old creature come back from the dead. And that's it. Everything you really need to know about zombies.
Okay, that's great, but how do we deal with the ones outside the door?
Oh, I'm not worried about those zombies.
Why not?
Because I got bit like 5 minutes before you guys ran in here. I've kind of accepted my fate.
Wait, so you're gonna turn into a zombie?
Yeah, I guess I could turn about any time.
Anytime?
Anytime. Not yet. You taste bad. Hey, you watched the whole thing. Thank you so much. This is a video I've been wanting to do for a long time, and the Check the Bestiary thing might become a series. I love talking about monsters, and this seems like the best way to do it. So if you like monsters, mythology, and all the things they represent, stick around because I'm going to be coming out with more of these. A huge thank you to my 3 friends who are in this video. Robert, you can check out his channel right over there. Fox, whose channel you can check out right over there. And then there's Lex, who did all the makeup, but she doesn't really have a YouTube channel, so I'm just gonna say thank you! Thank you again so much. I hope you had as much fun watching this as I did making it. If you like my stuff, I post regularly, so stick around. Hopefully I'll keep making things you enjoy. So until next time, I hope you had fun. Remember the rules I taught you if you ever run into a zombie. And most of all, don't get bit. See you later.